All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy fall Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody got some good college football in yesterday, and looks like one of us down below got some good church in today, so that's good. We're all together, but we're all here for one purpose: is to discuss the issues in Salt Lake City's District 2. For the council district, and we have three of a plethora of candidates, but we have three great candidates today that we're going to be talking to on some of the issues that are important for the area of Salt Lake City's Council District 2. I am happy to introduce, this is kind of like a Brady Bunch thing. So below me right here, Daniel Tuutau, and then we have down this way Mr. Alejandro Puy, and then Nigel Swaby. How are you guys doing today?
Great, thanks for having me.
Yeah, okay.
Great, thank you.
First of all, you're welcome. Everybody's looking good. So far, the technical issues on these things, they always happen, but they've been at a minimum so far, so we're lucky for that. But we're going to start with, first of all, welcoming everybody who's joining in, and those who will watch the rebroadcast of this. Because first of all, I always do this. I've done a couple of these things, moderating these things, but first of all, it takes a lot of guts for anybody to put themselves out there like this. I mean, as you all know, it puts a target on your back. But I want to show my appreciation for all of you willing to serve, because I'm big on community service, and your willingness to serve is admirable, and we really appreciate it. So how the format is going to start here is we're going to go and do 1-minute introductions. And how I like to say it is, imagine I'm driving down I-15 and I saw a billboard or a t-shirt or something like that, and that's kind of the format, kind of your elevator pitch, you might say, and then we'll go from there. And we'll do a 1-minute timer. Jeff, in the middle box here, I'll just give you one of these when we're 30 seconds out, and then I'll tell you up to say 10, and then you'll know it's coming to close. So in alphabetical order, my very high education serves. We'll go with Alejandro for introductions first, and you're on the clock, Alejandro.
Hi. So as all the other candidates know here, and the visitors, we're candidates for District 2. Here is in the west side of Salt Lake City, Glendale, Poplar Grove, and half of Fair Park. So you know, I'm an immigrant, as you probably can guess by my accent. I'm a Latino immigrant. I put myself through college, working multiple jobs in policy research and advocacy. I started a small business several years ago that right now has become a larger business. So I have quite a bit of experience on that, and I know what it takes and how hard it is to start a business and to come from very little. Sorry, you said 30 seconds. Yeah, in my community, I'm known as a doer, and I'm running because we need to get things done on the west side. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then next we have Nigel. And Nigel, you're on the clock.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nigel Swaby. After my family moved to Utah from Jamaica when I was 6 years old, we moved to Rose Park and eventually got a house in Glendale right on 9th West. I've been here since 1977 on the west side. I grew up here. I went to West Side schools, Riley Elementary, Glendale Junior High, and I was in the second to the last graduating class of South High School before it closed. I've spent a lot of time since I moved to Fair Park 6 years ago being involved with community issues. I've worked my way up the Fair Park Community Council and now serve as its chair. I understand the West Side. I grew up here. I understand the issues of equity, the issues of poverty that we have suffered from. And I'm West Side proud. I would love to represent the neighborhood that I grew up in.
All right, thank you, Nigel. And then we'll wrap up with the best dressed guy on the panel, Daniel. And Daniel, you're on the clock.
Great. Well, it's nice to be here with you. My name is Daniel Tuutau. I'm Tongan American. My dad immigrated over from Tonga, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I've been living here in Poplar Grove for about 10 years now. I have had a lot of different business experience doing different types of jobs, but recently I've been working with the Pacific Island Business Alliance, which is part of a nonprofit called PICTAR, and that's been illustrating to me the importance of minoritized communities being represented. And I love District 2 has so many of those minoritized communities in the candidacy running. I'm doing the same with the Pacific Island community. My campaign's based on principles of basically strengthening individuals, families, and businesses. And if it doesn't do one of those three things, then I don't think it's really important for the city. But there's a lot of experience, and my goal is just to try to get as many people involved as possible. I'm not a career politician. I haven't done this before, but I thought about putting my information in there to make sure that our voices are heard. So thanks.
All right, excellent. All right, well, I'm going to open it up. We have a couple of questions that have come in already, and for those, I see a couple folks that are watching today, which we appreciate, and feel free in the chat section to ask any questions you like. But I'm going to start with in Salt Lake City's Council District 2. This is kind of a lightning round, I call it. If you're going to give me 5 bullet points ranked in top priority to number 5. Obviously, that's hard to pick because all the issues are very important. But give me, if I was going to, if you're going to, show me a presentation and in the table of contents, you give me the bullet points of what are your top 5 issues in District 2. And in this case, we're going to go backwards. And again, 1 minute apiece. So we'll start again. Last goes first. So Daniel, top 5 issues in District 2, and you're on the clock.
Well, if I have to narrow it down, at least for what I've been pushing for, number 1 is community and participation, involvement, getting citizens to care and to do something about it. Economic development is a big element as well. Where the wealth is, so is the attention. Public safety, homelessness, and public services would be the 5 areas if I kind of had to narrow down what I've been focusing on. Now, again, your comment of they're all interconnected, so you can't do one thing without addressing a bunch of other things at the same time. But if those, for me, it would be community participation, economic development, public safety, homelessness, and public services. All
right, excellent. It's a trick question. It's not, there's no easy answer, but we're definitely in a time of what I'd call sound bites. So people want to, hear it quick. So that's what we're doing. We'll deep dive into some issues as we go along, and we'll go next with Nigel. Top 5. You're on the clock.
All right, public safety is number 1, homelessness number 2, the inland port is number 3, affordable housing is number 4, and establishing a high cost minimum wage in Salt Lake City is number 5. Boom.
All right, well, you just burned through that in just 15 seconds. Do you want to expand on any of that, or do you want to?
I thought this was a lightning round, so I'm.
Well, it is a lightning round, but I'm getting you guys used to it, so you'll get lightninger later. So that's even worse.
All right,
anyway,
no, I'm good. I will yield the rest of my time.
All right, great. All right, Alejandro, top 5, David Letterman style. You go. Oh, you're muted, dude.
He was having some unmuting issues a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I can unmute myself.
There you go.
Oh, now you're good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's apparently I don't have permission to unmute myself. So public safety is a big issue in District 2. I mean, you know, the thousands of doors that my campaign has knocked in the district is really actually the main issue that people bring up, and that is a very big issue for me. I talked to the police. They score me as a plus candidate in public safety, and homelessness and affordable housing is a big issue in District 2, but across the city. And we need to, and the next few years are key for this. And then going back to the basics, I know that you asked me for 5 issues, but the basics are very important. The basis of streets, lights, and potholes and parks. So there's my 5.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good job. So we'll next go into a question that was submitted in advance, and let's see, we'll mix it up again. This time I'll go this way around the screen. So we'll start with Nigel first, and then Alejandro and Daniel. So the question is, do you support providing long-term mental and physical assistance for our unsheltered families? So that's the question. I'll read it one more time. Do you support providing long-term mental and physical assistance for our unsheltered families? And Nigel, you're first, and you're on. I mean, this is kind of a big topic. Let's have a consensus. Do you want to go 1 minute 30 on this one?
Yeah, or even 2 minutes. It's worth talking about.
All right, let's do 2 minutes on this one. I'll reset the timer, and I can't imagine, this is not a bullet point issue, so we'll go 2 minutes on this one. And we'll start with you, Nigel, and you are on the clock. Go.
All right, thank you very much. This is one of the biggest issues that we have in Salt Lake City right now, and I think that the question deals specifically with a more hands-on approach to homelessness. I think we've spent a lot of money over the last 5 years as a state, a county, and a city on Operation Rio Grande and establishing homeless resource centers. But I don't think that we've placed enough attention to case management. We had this housing first model that got out all around the country. And so other states, other cities started sending their folks over here to Salt Lake. But what we found is housing first hasn't worked. I think what would work is case management first. And because there are people out there that they literally need their hands held to get self-sufficient and get back on their feet. 2 years ago, the city council was looking at doing what's called a single room occupancy model that would have case management on site 24/7. They ended up punting on that, and they're trying to do something different, which I don't think will be as effective at all, and it certainly won't be equitable across the city. I would like to go back to that SRO model, as it's called, and make sure that we get that in all parts of the city and not just on the west side.
All right. 20 seconds to go. Let's stop. All right, Alejandro, you need me to repeat the question, or are you good to go?
Yeah, I mean, please repeat it just for the sake of.
Yeah, sure. All right, Alejandro, do you support providing long-term mental and physical assistance for our unsheltered families?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Ready to rock?
Yes, I am.
All right, and you're on.
The answer is yes. You know, we need all the services that we can. This is a crisis. Homelessness in our city, not only in our city, is a huge crisis. Right now, the city is going to get $88 million from federal money that hasn't been allocated in any pot, and you know that everybody's going to try to take a chunk of that for different projects. But the homeless crisis, it is a crisis, and we need to allocate, in my opinion, most of this money. The state is actually willing to pitch in more money into this and housing affordability to solve on this. Let's remember that this is the issue of homelessness is not simple to solve. There is a lot of people that are dealing with mental health issues that is related to that drug addiction and drug usage, and there is also loss of family members. So there is it's a complicated thing. Right now, there is a teeny home community. We need more teeny home communities in the city. We need actually low bar of entrance camping so that people can actually go to a place where they don't have to be clean to live. Unfortunately, that is something that we need to understand. We cannot flicker our fingers and have people get clean. It takes time to get someone in the process of getting clean, and we need to help them. But right now, what we have is not working. So we need to actually put out this money where our mouth is and help them, because we are the community that cares for them, but we need to help the neighbors that are suffering through this too.
All right, thank you. And Daniel, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good to go?
We're good to go.
All right, you are on the clock, and go ahead.
All right. So first of all, I mean, I love questions like this because it's like no one's going to say, I don't want to support people, which is true. We all want to do that. So, I mean, I'm definitely in favor of the long-term mental and physical assistance for unsheltered families, as the question proposes. I do think we've been focusing a lot on the short term, which is an issue that's been somewhat addressed. But I think kind of going back to what Nigel is saying, the mental issues is as important, if not more important, than the physical issues, because you provide someone a home that can't handle it, that doesn't solve the problem. That gets them off the street. But homelessness is not simply not having a place to sleep, right? There's so much more involved with that. I'm a big fan with everyone else about allocating the funds to do that wisely. I think a lot of times we need to partner with the county, with the federal. I mean, we need to have these working in tandem as opposed to individually, because I think we're all wanting the same goal, but going about it slightly differently, and it's not fixing the problem. Obviously, the homeless problem has not gone anywhere. I think thinking outside the box in terms of the case management, getting them the help that they need, and for those that don't want the help, to provide solutions for them as well. I mean, Alejandro has been talking about providing camping places with that low bar of entrance, which again, I think we're all saying the same thing. It's just about how we would go about doing that. And I think partnering together with as many different teams that are trying to get the same thing done will be more effective than what has been going on now, in terms of the city doing its thing, the county doing its thing. There's federal programs that do their own thing, and finding other ways of streamlining all that effort to get everyone on the same page together, I think is going to be one of the key things to address this problem, like you said, with all its many different multifaceted issues.
All right, time's up. Thank you very much, Daniel. We have a couple of questions that have come from the kind folks that have joined us, and let me continue, and I'll talk to the folks that are watching right now live. I think I've mentioned this before, but these gentlemen that you're watching today, their biggest opponents are not each other. Their biggest opponent is apathy. And I appreciate you that are watching live, and I will charge you to be kind of like the torchbearers of your community and your neighborhoods and your families, to tell them what you've heard today, and encourage everybody to get out and vote. Because I think the one thing that would very much reward all these guys for all the hard work that they've put in, putting themselves out there like we talked about, is having a decent turnout, a representation of people willing to get out there and be involved in the system. And just by you guys being here today, I just want to applaud you right now, and thanks a lot for joining in with us. And we will start with a question from Tolina. If I butcher it, I really apologize, but where do you stand? Like, here we go. Then we can all decide on we'll make this a 1-minute question. Where do you stand, or what are your thoughts as far as supporting meaningful in all caps programs for youth initiative programs labeled as troubled youth on the west side. So once again, where do you stand, or what are your thoughts as far as supporting meaningful programs for youth initiative programs on the west side? And we'll go reverse around square this time, and we'll start with Alejandro, followed by Nigel, and then Daniel. We'll do 1 minute on the clock. And Alejandro, are you ready to rock this question?
Yeah.
All right, and you're on.
So this is something very interesting to me. The West Side is where the families in our city are happening. I mean, the big families. We have 8 or 9 schools in the District 2. There is a lot, and they are full of kids, right? So we actually have quite a bit of issues in the West Side having activities for our youth, and not only for our troubled youth, because we need to start young sometimes. We need to start young so they don't become troubled youth. I actually talking to the neighbors at their doors, they were telling me that they need to be able to play sports in our parks that the community wants to play. Some of the tennis courts in Jordan Park have never been used, and I mean it's been many years since someone has used them. So we need something that is interesting, that reflects. We need the services to reflect the community. Also, I'm not talking about sports, but would like to talk about service opportunities. When I joined the Red Cross when I was a kid.
And there you go, Alejandro. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know it's rough. Yeah, it's a rough job. Okay, so Nigel, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good to go?
I'm good. So start the clock.
You're on the clock.
I think the West Side definitely needs programs. There are some that are already available, like YouthWorks through NeighborWorks. I did the Citizens Academy a few years ago, and they talked about the gang activity that is out here on the West Side, in particular ethnic groups, and we don't see that a lot of times as a big issue, but it's there, and these other programs really helped doing it. I was a beneficiary of a program called Upward Bound that helped gave me the opportunity to stay on campus at the U during summers while I was in high school. But I think there's a lot of programs that need to take place earlier. So I'm a big supporter. I think it's very important for our families and for the future of our youth.
All right, 1 second to go. That's good. Daniel, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good to go?
Good.
All right, cool. And you're on the clock, Daniel.
So I, like my fellow candidates, definitely support these meaningful programs. There are some there. I think it actually goes back to kind of the filler in between our questions, the apathy that it's in our neighborhoods. I think we need more programs, but I think they need to come from our community members. I mean, for example, we have Tolini who's checking in, and I think having someone that wants a program, maybe doesn't even know what program it is, but just having people feeling comfortable to come forward and say, we have these issues that need to be addressed, and then work together with leadership in order to create those programs to fill those needs. I think that it needs to be much wider. I mean, as much funding as we want to throw towards something won't solve the problem unless we have community buy-in in these programs that are set up to help them in that process. So I'm completely supportive of that, if done the right way.
All right. Okay, here comes one from the moderator. I mean, we have a couple, another great question and a couple more. But in today's political world, there's a big, the state of Utah doesn't want to be meddled with by the federal government. And it seems like, I would think every city, like I'm from Murray, and we have our own issues, and obviously your district in Salt Lake City has its own unique things going on. How would you propose to maintain a relationship with the governor and the state legislature, but also try to maintain the autonomy, stay out of Council District 2's business type of thing, in the spirit of how people think in of an American state. And the state doesn't want federal messing with them, and I would assume you don't want state legislature meddling in your business. So basically, it's a relationship issue. What your relationship be, or you hope to be, with your legislator that represents you and the governor, and also maintaining best interest and autonomy in both Salt Lake City and Council too. And we'll go back around the horn again. Start with Daniel that question. And 1 minute, go.
So I think it's a difficult subject because you're basically asking what do you want the relationship to be and what will it actually look like. I think a lot of times we have people that promise like, well, we're going to have our own sovereign, we'll be able to do our own thing. But I mean, the inland port is a perfect example, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later, of a case where we want to do our thing, but the state government is putting forth what they think should be done here in Salt Lake. They want to take 25% of our city to use for this inland port and give us very little say on that. I mean, so all I could say is that my goal would be to argue and to fight for that balance, right? We want to work together. We have the similar goals. We want to achieve those things, but just creating those relationships outside of just the regular meetings in order to have enough friction to be able to say what we believe in. So I can't promise anything. I mean, and anyone that can is, well, good luck to them. But I would strive to try to find that balance and just building those relationships outside of just the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Nigel, do you need me to summarize the question, or are you good to go?
No, I've got it. Let me know when the clock starts. So if we understand that the Constitution, all power resides in the state. We wouldn't have the federal government without the cooperation of the states, and cities get their power. Cities and municipalities get their power from the state. So I think we need to have a good relationship there. I don't think Salt Lake City has worked very hard at that. And I'll give you an example. Last week, I attended the League of Cities and Towns conference, and I was there for a day and a half. It was a 2.5-day conference, and there were hardly any Salt Lake City representatives there. None of our city council, I know our mayor was out of town somewhere else. None of our economic development. I got to meet other candidates, other elected officials. And I talked to somebody that I know about it and said, hey, are we missing out on this? And she said, yeah, very definitely. We ignore that. And I think we need to strengthen that relationship to get more leverage with the state.
All right, thank you. Alejandro, you ready to go with this question?
No, I'm good. I mean, relationships are all, right? Especially for the smallest position that you can ever get elected to in the state, which is the city council. For many years, I was able to cultivate many relationships. I have very close friends that are Republicans, very close friends that are very Democrat, and many friends that are in the middle. I text with 4 or 5 mayors in this county alone, and probably dozens of council members all across, because of what I did for a living for many years. I have friends in the legislature, and this legislature, and mayor of Denver. So it is important to bring people together, and that is, I think, the most important thing of being a council member is stop being throwing rocks at each other, and let's get together. Let's find common ground.
All right, excellent. We have a question from Melanie. She says, what is your position on the other side village? Why? What other specific solutions to have for the unsheltered? Related to how you feel about the pause on the homeless services by Mayor Mendenhall within the city? What are your strategies to work with county and state leaders to promote statewide partnerships to help lift these people out of homelessness? And again, where she's talking about partnerships, so this kind of the good transition, what we were just talking about. And this is kind of a big subject, and we are now halfway through our scheduled meeting time. So we're going to keep this one, again, 1 minute is hard to cover all these things with each person. So based on the responses, I really implore everybody out there listening to reach out to all of these guys individually to have them expand on the answers you're hearing. So with that question, did everybody hear it, or should I repeat it one more time?
It's in the chat, so we can read it.
It's in the chat. You can read it. Yeah. Are you, so I'm going to start with Nigel on this one. Can you go, Nigel?
Yeah, are we at 1 minute or 2 minutes on this one?
Well, I'll let you guys all decide that, because this is a big topic, but we are also at less than 30 minutes to go. So it depends on how much more we want to get.
Let's go with 2 minutes on this one. Daniel,
Does
agreed.
everybody else
Are you
agree
okay?
with that?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay.
2 minutes it is. And go.
All right. So my position on the other side village, I am definitely concerned that we've got 400 deeply affordable units coming over here. And if it was any other provider, I would be very upset with it. But the Other Side Academy has been a very good neighbor in their current location. They have a fantastic program. I believe that it's going to bring amenities to Poplar Grove, and so I support that. What other specific solutions to have for the unsheltered? I think we have to look at a lot of things. I already mentioned SROs for people who really need that case management, but we also need to look at, and I hate to say this, but there's a model in Denver for sanctioned camping. What we've got right now is sanctioned camping by the city with absolutely no rules. I would like to see something where we can give these people shelter. I don't like the abatements more than anybody else, and I think that we've got to do something about that. The nice thing about the Denver model is that they move the location every 6 months. I really think equity is important in the city, and there needs to be resource centers on the east side as well as the west side. The pause on homeless services, that is only for permanent structures, permanent services. She said nothing about temporary ones, and I think that that's smart. Salt Lake City shouldn't be the only place that has homeless services. And finally, how do we get partnerships? We have to go through the legislature. I know I've spoken to Senator Anderegg about this, and they've got some stuff that's working. Alejandro and I were both in a meeting the other day, and we know that the state is involved with it. So thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, we'll go down to Alejandro. Are you ready for this one? You have 2 minutes, and you are on the clock.
Yeah, so just to address the question, I want to start by saying that what we're doing isn't working. It isn't working for the neighbors, and it isn't working for the homeless people in our streets. Let's remember, they're humans, and they're going through something. And I think all of us feel like we need to help. This community is embracing. We want to help. We don't want them to be in the streets, in the cold, in the rain. We need to do something about it. We also, if you're driven in the district, 900 South, 1700 South, you see, rows of campers and trash everywhere. And some neighbors have told me that they don't want to go to the park anymore because there's needles, there is glass, there is junk. So what the city will do is, when the neighbors get very pissed and angry, they will just push them out, tow those vehicles, and with the few possessions that these people have, where are they going to live? They're going to come back with a tent into the park. Right now, we are not doing we don't have a comprehensive solution to help these individuals. We need to have safe lots where they can camp. We can keep them clean. We have done this. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Other cities have done it. Safe camping. Churches in Seattle have opened their parking lots to allow 20 tents, and they keep it tidy. The city will collaborate with them. We have to see this as a humane problem, and we need to be careful with also caring for our neighbors. So that is where I stand on this issue.
All right, thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you.
And Daniel, are you good with this question to go?
Yeah.
All right, you are on the clock.
Great. So first of all, yeah, there's been a lot of discussion with the other side village, especially since it's right in our neighborhood. I live like 6 blocks away from where they're planning on putting that in. I generally speaking, I support it. Just like kind of like Nigel said, there's been a lot of promises made to the west side that have not been kept by many organizations. And from the track record of the other side academy and what they've done, they seem like they will legitimately follow through on their promises. Now, the other side of that is I have a lot of neighbors that are very much opposed to it being in our neighborhood in any form. And a big part of it is the place that they're looking at building that is a dump, like metaphorically and like literally it was the dump for years and years. And we haven't had any other offers so far of how to develop that. Now, if there was some other option better than the village, then I would consider that as an alternative. But at this point, what we've seen so far, and it's still in its infancy in the project's development, I support that. I'm not a fan of, the other element of that is that only addresses a sliver of the homeless issue. That is not a homeless solution in any sense, right? It's made to address a certain type of person that is on the street. And we need, just like Alejandro said, like Nigel said, we need a lot of other services to help the homeless. We need to have options for people that don't want help, that as a city, we need to take care of the least of us, those that can't take care of themselves. I'm not a fan of the mayor's, pause on homeless service, but I understand she's running the whole city. There's certain balances that have to go on. I don't know what went into that decision, but I assume she's informed on some level. I think those relationships with the state are crucial. And building those relationships on a personal level, not to say like to trade favors, but to get someone on your side and in your corner and helping you out. And that is something that needs to be done, not just by one city council member, but by the whole team. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we have a couple of other questions that have come in. We have ones that were submitted in advance, so we'll hit one of those first, and then we've got a great one that just came in from one of the folks that are here. So we're going to start with why Rose Park is left out. I would say why Rose Park is left out for different restaurants and shopping. How about doing that instead of dumping us with overpriced apartments? So apparently this is kind of a maybe a bedroom community type of issue, that everybody lives here but goes to another part of town for fun and dinner and shopping. So why is your district just apartments and there's nothing to do, basically? That's kind of what it's. And we'll start with Alejandro on this one. This will be just a 1-minute answer. And go ahead.
Yeah, so the city has done this before. They haven't done it for the west side, and we need to make it happen. The 9th and 9th on the east side is a good example of it. How the city put the money where the mouth was, and they created a nod, a place where the community can get together and enjoy small businesses and go watch a small movie in a theater, or go get some ice cream. Right now, the authority lays on the city, but through zoning. We should be asking for mixed use zoning. When a developer comes with a plan, we should be asking them for a mixed use, so we can actually have some amenities in the west side. Many people have to drive outside the district, very far away, to just like have a cup of coffee or a tea, or just do some groceries, because the supermarket we have is not great. So we need to actually have amenities and have small businesses in our district.
All right, thank you very much. And Nigel, do you want to hit this one? 1 minute?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
You're on.
So the to rephrase the question, it's basically, why don't we have nice things over here in District 2 on the west side? And the answer is very simple. The first is there's a perception of crime and there's actual crime. And the second one is there's a perception that we don't have enough income to support businesses. There's also a third component to it, and that's the misconception that there, with all the new construction, with the apartments and hopefully condos that come up, that there's no room for commercial. But all of those, especially in transit zones, are zoned to have businesses in them, but reason one and reason two are why we don't have them yet. I've worked really hard recently to get a tenant into the former Wiener Schnitzel on North Temple, and we had to address the crime problem, but we got somebody in there, and I'm happy to let you know that they're successful, and I would continue to recruit businesses.
All right, all right. I'm gonna have to yellow card you there. Sorry, dude. Okay, Daniel, you're on 1 minute.
Great. So, yeah, why can't we have nice things? A lot of it is these perceptions, like Nigel mentioned. Like I said, one of my big areas is economic development, and that's going to come both in the sense of economic development and getting people with better jobs so they have more money to spend, but also to spend that money in our district. And it's hard to do, right? If you want to get something from a Walmart type store, you have to like leave. I mean, we do have a Smith's, right? And it's a tale of two Smiths, right? 800 South has a Smith on 900 West and 900 East. And those are night and day quality between those two, right? You got the hippie Smiths over there with all the fancy stuff, and you got the ghetto Smiths over in our neighborhood, right? I mean, and that's just the way it's been perceived. So we need to work on strengthening that, incentivizing businesses from our city council, zoning issues that might be there, and then improving the neighborhood as a whole will bring more businesses in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to do one on my own that kind of transcends, and we'll make this kind of a lightning round, a 30-second one. So again, me being from the Murray area growing up, tell me, as an outsider, what you would do to, improve the perception. We might go down there for the state fair and never go there ever again. So what would you do to improve the overall perception, or if you're a marketing person, what would the first thing you would do to improve the overall reputation and perception of the council District 2 or the entire West Side in general? And I'll start with Daniel. This will be a lightning round, just 30 seconds. So are you ready for this one?
Sure. Yeah. So
go.
I mean, I know, for example, I'm friends with some of the Poplar Grove Community Council, and a big part of what they want to do is create a community identity. I mean, they, one of the guys in there who's very avid is wanting to create, for example, street signs, introduction signs. We don't have anything that says Poplar Grove or Glendale, right? Like they do in Rose Park. So building out a community identity with signage, but also, with activities and events as well. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. And Nigel, what are your thoughts on that?
I think placemaking is important, but we really need to get things cleaned up. Appearances matter. The mobile homes were mentioned a little bit earlier. I've had discussions with Andrew Johnston and said, well, why don't we just ticket them? And he gave me some reasons not to. During the fair, I talked to compliance and I said, hey, there's a mobile home over here. Will you ticket it? And the next day I go over and it's got a ticket on it. And the day after that, it's gone. So simple things, enforcement are things that will help improve it.
And Alejandro.
Follow through. I mean, right now we have some neighbor, this is not the bad part of town. There's this perception that we live, oh my God, you moved to Glendale, right? Like, what is that, right? Like, we need the city to actually start solving the issues that, we experience here in the West Side. If someone, crime is one of those, right? Like, we need the city to take care of the crime issues we have. So, if it is the bad part of town, is because the city is letting it happen. So we need to get on it. We need to actually clean up actual clean up our parks and make them nice, like in the East Side. And we need to get things done.
All right, thank you. We'll go to one more question that was submitted in advance. Actually, there aren't. We covered those. So, all right, I'm going to give you one more that I'm always curious about. We've talked about the problems and the issues and all that stuff, but I want to know, in your district, District 2 in Salt Lake City, what do you find the most endearing special about where you live, and you're just what makes you proud and happy to be there. And we'll go back around the horn again. We'll start with Alejandro, and I'll give this a minute because I really want to hear what your thoughts on. We hear about the bad stuff all the time. What's the good stuff, Alejandro?
The good stuff. The good stuff is the people. You know, and it's just a couple miles, you can find 60 nationalities. You can find, you know, all sorts of people. And this is just the most amazing thing about this district. This is a beautiful place to live. We're open-minded and we love each other. We care for each other. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. This is home. And I don't have to have been born here or, you know, gone to all the schools to appreciate and love this district, because this is every single country in the West Side. It is the good thing of our cultures are all mashed together here. So I love it here. I live, you know, next to the Church of Tonga, and, you know, I can hear the choir when, you know, on Sundays, and I just love it. I mean, I can go, you know, around the corner and there's a Catholic church and I can hear them too. I love it here.
Thank you, Alejandro. And Nigel, what are your thoughts? What makes you happy and proud to be where you're at in District 2?
I have to agree with Alejandro. It's definitely the people and the diversity of different nationalities that we have over here. And I was at Sugar Space last night, and I met a man from Senegal. He lives in Sandy. He was there with his family at their little market that they do on Saturdays. Getting to know Daniel and Alejandro has been great. There's not pressure to keep up with the Joneses over here. If your grass isn't cut perfectly every week, it doesn't matter. I love my neighbors. I talk to them, and I talk to people that I grew up with that are still in the neighborhood. And so, yeah, it's definitely the people.
Okay. And Daniel, what floats your boat about District 2 in your neighborhood?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not the people. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I mean, I coming third on something like this, it's the same. I mean, the diversity, and that diversity is reflected in this campaign. I've said this before, but I mean, I've done interviews where they've been like, you guys have the best candidates. I mean, 3 of the 5 are represented here, but the other 2 are still great for the community. Now we'll all do it differently, but I mean, we got Red Iguana right here, right? We got chungas, right? I mean, we got some great places to eat, but not enough, right? I mean, that's like just a handful. So, I mean, the diversity is awesome. And that's what I love. My neighbors, the ones that I talk to are really great. The ones that I don't talk to, they're great too, because they don't do anything wrong, right? You know, they're just, you know, they do their own thing. And I love that idea that we can just be ourselves on this side of town. Utah has a certain reputation, but Salt Lake breaks that mold, and the West Side definitely breaks that mold of being a diverse worldwide kind of neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, well, we're 10 minutes to go, and we're going to have some wrap-up comments. But if anybody out there, I mean, we've actually just been joined by a couple more folks, and we'd like to field another question from the audience if somebody wants to put something up there. I think we have time for one more, and then we can do summaries from everybody. And we'll just wait for a second, see if anybody wants to put something up. In the meantime, I'll just ask, this would be a lightning round. I'll ask each one of you, and we'll go from Nigel and Daniel down to Alejandro. I have to ask you, I mean, I ran for city council in Murray a long time ago, and I got squashed pretty good. And I was wondering, why? Why do you want to put yourself out there like that? And what is your drive to serve? And like just 30 seconds, a bullet point. This would be like a t-shirt answer that I see you walking by with it on. So we'll start with you, Alejandro.
Well, I decided to run because I was a little frustrated with you know, the lack of follow through on the West Side. I was frustrated that the city always threw their hands up in there and says, we don't have resources for that. But you know, when you drive east, you notice the difference, right? So I wanted to come back to the basics and follow through with the neighbors, because here we were asking for a stop sign and they didn't come through. So I wanted to make it happen.
All right. Nigel, why? Just tell me why.
Well, since I moved to Fair Park, I've been trying to get involved with community stuff as much as I can. I started by attending Fair Park Community Council meetings and ended up on the board, and then moved my way up. So now I'm the chair. I was also chair of the River District Chamber, which represented business interests in the area. And during that time, I learned so much about the city. And with this opportunity of the seat opening up, I wanted to be part of it and represent the neighborhood I grew up in.
All right, thank you. And Daniel, I mean, why Daniel? I mean, you have enough to do. Why do this too? Come on.
Well, why not? Right. I mean, so my thoughts are, if I can do it, anyone can do this, in the sense of I don't have political aspirations. I'm not doing this because I want to be governor someday. I'm here in this neighborhood and I want to have the best neighborhood possible. And running, if I win, I will work to do that. And if I don't win, then I will hold whoever does win accountable, and I will help refine that process. So the more people involved, the better. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, we did get one more question from the gallery, and this is a really good one. I think it'll be a little bit of lightning round too, and then we'll do our summations. But I like this question a lot. This is a big thinker question. Will each of you, what will each of you do to leave your footprint for our next generation when elected, especially with our youth being the next to carry on the work? So I guess it'd be like, what kind of footprint are you going to place, and how are you going to pass on the torch? I would say something like that. So I like these, we've been deep diving into some things, but it's nice to have, some positive energy questions to wrap up. So what's your footprint going to be? What's your legacy going to be? Where, I remember that guy, he was city council, and because he did it, he influenced me to do this and that and the other. And we'll go around the other direction. Just 30 seconds again. Daniel, what are you going to do to influence the next round of people?
I think having again, my top concern is eliminating a bit of the apathy in our community. I think having a name like Puy, having a name like Tuutau is great for the Hispanic and the Polynesian communities. I think Swaby, I'm not sure where that's from, but that's it's good to have someone from Jamaica on the list, right? Having more people involved and pushing that towards not just the election, but throughout the actions that happen afterwards, that we need as many of the future generations involved in the process as well. Thank you.
And Nigel, what's going to be your legacy, your footprint, if elected to Council District 2? And how are you going to influence the next generation to be, involved in, activated? Go ahead.
Well, when my father died 8 years ago, the thing that I directly attributed to him was providing stability for us as a family growing up, because we had moved from Jamaica to Rose Park we moved twice in Rose Park and to Glendale. And so I would like to see housing ownership instead of apartments, and make sure that the families over here understand the importance of housing stability.
So more, I would summarize that as more generational stability, maybe.
Yes.
Like that. And Alejandro, what are your thoughts on that?
But at the end of serving in the council, I wish I restored trust that our city government can actually do things. Right now, the overwhelming feeling in people's houses is that nothing happens on the West Side. Things are always like this in the West Side. And that is what I wish I can demonstrate to the people in this district, that things can actually happen in the West Side for their good. You know, they could improve their community. So that's what I hope.
Thank you. All right. And then Daniel.
Oh, I went first.
Oh, you did. You went first. All right.
I mean, I can go again if you want.
Oh no. You know what? We're at 2:57, so it's time for wrap-ups. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes each on your wrap-ups. So that'll take us over just a little bit of time. Once again, I'd like to appreciate everybody that's joining us today, and I again would implore you to talk to your neighbors, your friends, your family, and tell them what you've heard today, and you know, you've gone out of your way to make an informed decision. And just again, I think that the one thing that will really resonate with these candidates for putting themselves out there and doing the hard work is having a great turnout, to know that they inspired people to get out and be part of the process. We all know that politics over the last few years has been arduous at best, and it's nice to know that a few of these folks, no matter who wins, at the end of the day, we all end up being friends with one goal in mind, is to make our community, and in this case, District 2, a better place for all of us and the future for our kids and such. So we'll go around the horn this way with Alejandro, then Nigel, and Daniel with a 2-minute summary, and you know, whatever you want to say as far as your last thoughts as we close our meeting today. And Alejandro, you're on the clock, and wrap it up, Alejandro.
Okay. So I'm very lucky to have this opportunity to share this time with you guys. Let me tell you about me. Again, I'm an immigrant and I feel at home in District 2. I'm a Latino and I feel at home in District 2. I'm a person that had to work 2 or 3 jobs to put myself through college, and I feel at home at District 2. I relate to you because I am one of you, and I want to represent this district and get things done. You know, from the pothole I saw the other day that the lady told me for 20 years it's been in front of her house, to that light that took 3 years to get replaced, to the homeless crisis and the crime issues that we have. So I want to show to you that we can get things done in the next 2 years. This term is only 2 years. So we have, in the next year and a half, you know, we need to push ourselves to prove that to you. I hope that I can earn your vote. Please call me and text me or send me a message in my email, and my website, alejandropuy.com. I don't know why I switched to Spanish all of a sudden in there. But please reach out to me. And if you're voting for one of these candidates in here as number 1, please consider voting for me as number 2. We have a ranked choice voting right now, so you can vote your mind. You can vote and rank your candidates. I hope I can earn your vote and your support and your trust. And you know, call me, llámame.
All right, thank you very much, Alejandro. And Nigel, wrap it up for us. What's your feel-good moments for right now, Nigel?
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for the other 2 candidates for coming and doing this today. I enjoyed this. It's a little less stressful, I think, and a little more casual. I wanted to give a brief philosophy of how I see the role of city council. We look at national politics, but at the end of the day, what happens at the local level is going to affect us more than anything else. And I see city council people as effectively the customer service representatives of our democracy. And that's how I would behave in the office. I've got the experience, even though I'm not elected to anything. I've been working in this community for the last 6 years since I've been here. When I was in high school, I worked to save South High School unsuccessly, unfortunately. Before the pandemic, I was in every city council work session meeting on Tuesday afternoons because I wanted to see how those council members thought and how the process worked. The staffers in those meetings would often come to me and say, "Hey, Nigel, why are you here? You could watch this on on YouTube or on Facebook. And I said, yeah, but then I wouldn't get to talk to you. So I have those relationships within the city as well. And I want to wrap up. Alejandro brought up, yeah, we're doing ranked choice voting. This is one of the most competitive seats this election. And if you like somebody better than me, then by all means vote for them. But man, vote for me number 2 or vote for Daniel number 2 or vote for Alejandro. We can rank every single one of these candidates. It's unique. Make sure you turn in your ballots. They're coming out this week. And that's my time.
All right, thank you so much, Nigel. And Daniel, I don't know if last is best of all the game, but you're definitely still the best dressed of all the games. So,
all right. Well,
give us your closing thoughts, Daniel.
Well, great. Yeah, I mean, I'll start off where they left off with the ranked choice voting. It's an exciting time. You don't have to feel like you throw away your vote by voting for someone that, you know, might not win per se, but they've all pitched themselves as number 2. I got the best one. You know, when you think of 2, think of Tuutau, right? You know, so, but what I hope is that we get more people involved, me included, right? You know, I want your vote, but more than that, I want your participation, right? Whatever that looks like. If you can be involved with community council, start being involved with the community council. If it's boring, like sometimes they are, get involved to make it less boring, right? If you can't go in person, get on the mailing list, find out what's going on, get to know your neighbors, go to events. I mean, just make the West Side what we want it to be. And that's for whoever gets elected to hold them responsible. I haven't made a lot of campaign promises. I don't go around saying I'm going to fix all this stuff because honestly, I you know, there's only so much that we can do. I can bring, you know, common sense and a good track record of making choices with high integrity. That's one of the things that I bring to the table, right? And I think any of the men that are running right now for council, I mean, the only thing that I don't like about the candidates is that we don't have any female representation, right? I mean, that's you know, another 2 years there'll be another time to run, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of that diversity as well. But I think that we all have the same goal in mind. It's just about how it's going to be achieved. That each of us have our own way of doing things. Some of us, you know, are friendlier. Some of us have longer hair than others. But we are all on the same page of trying to get some of these things done for our West Side. And I hope that whoever does get involved, that does get elected, hopefully it's one of us, but if whoever it is, will be able to be held accountable and be able to follow through with these promises that we've been hearing. And so be a part of this. And I thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you, Daniel, Nigel, Alejandro, and everybody else that have joined us today. I personally want to thank all of you for inviting me as kind of a independent outside looker in to moderate today. It's been a pleasure to learn about your district, and I look forward to visiting it and hanging out with you guys very soon. I really appreciate it. And most of all, once again, I can't oversay it enough. Thanks for everybody who's joined us today. Your participation and listening and your commitment to making informed decisions is very important. Again, I implore you, push you, whatever adjective you want, to get out there and tell your friends, your neighbors, and family to get involved, get out there and reward these fine candidates for their hard work with a great turnout. And we appreciate the presence today. You know what? It's a beautiful fall day. The sun's out today, so get out there and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Get off this damn tree. So have a good day, everybody.